Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you? I hope you will all be fine. So, the topic which I have selected today are compliments. So, we have to see what do we mean by compliments. A complement is a word or word group that completes the meaning of a verb. Every sentence has a subject and a verb. This is what we already know, that every meaningful sentence has a subject and a verb. But sometimes we see that the verb in the sentence is not able to give a complete meaning. Suppose you can see in the example, Adriana swam, the puppy was sleeping. In all these sentences, the verb is giving a complete meaning. So it means that the sentence is meaningful and the verb is giving a complete meaning in a sentence. But sometimes we see that a verb needs a complement to complete its meaning. What do we mean by complement? A complement is a verb or is a word or a group of words to make the meaning of the verb complete. Suppose you can see in the example, my aunt found what? It means that if you simply write my aunt found, it means that the meaning of the verb found is incomplete. It needs some word to make its meaning complete. And when I write, my aunt found a wallet, then the meaning of the verb found becomes complete. It means a wallet is a complement over here. This is how we have to identify a complement in a sentence. Let's have some other examples. The long case clock was, it means that the sentence is incomplete because the verb was is not able to give its complete meaning. When I say the long case clock was an antique, it means that the word an antique is completing the meaning of the verb was. So an antique is a complement over here. Then the other example is the elephant seemed what? If I simply write the elephant seemed, it means seemed verb. The verb seemed is incomplete. And when I write the elephant seemed tired, it means the adjective tired is completing the meaning of the verb which is seemed. So it means tired has been used over here as a complement. So I think your idea of the complement would be quite much clear by now, that it is that word, it is that noun or some adjective or some group of words which makes the meaning of the verb complete. Then we come to the next kind, and that is a complement is never a part of a prepositional phrase. Now, the question is, how would you identify a complement in a sentence? When I write a sentence, Ali is riding to his friend's house, it means that riding is a part of a prepositional phrase. So, a prepositional phrase can never ever be a complement. But on the other hand, when I write, Ali is riding a bike, and riding a bike is underlined over there in your exam. So it is that group of words which is making the meaning of the verb is complete. Fine. So it is acting as a complement over here, because if I simply write Ali is and I'm not writing anything after is, it means that the verb is incomplete when I write riding a bike. So it means that this group of word is making the meaning of the verb is complete. Then we come to the next idea, and that is the kinds of complements. We have two kinds of complements, a subject complement and an object complement. First of all, we have to see what is a subject complement. A subject complement is a word or word group that describes the subject. Whenever you have a complement in a sentence and you see that the complement is describing the subject, so that complement will be called a subject complement. A linking verb connects a subject complement to the subject. So in the case of subject complement, you always have to keep in mind that in the case of subject complement, we always have a linking verb. Like you can see in the example, Mrs. Suresh is a helpful neighbor. So who is a helpful neighbor? Mrs. Suresh. And what is Mrs. Suresh acting over here? Mrs. Suresh is a subject over here. So the complement a helpful neighbor is describing the subject who is Mrs. Suresh. So such kind of complement which describes the subject in the sentence is called subject complement, and subject complement always complete a helping verb. Then the next thing you have to keep in mind, the subject complements always complete the meaning of the linking verbs, not the action verbs. A very, very important point which you have to keep in mind, because most of the time the students, when we see that the verb is there and whatever kind of verb is there, they simply say that right after verb, whatever word they are going to find will be a complement. This is not the case. In the case of the subject complement, you are always going to have a linking verb and the word after the linking verb, which will be making the meaning of that linking verb complete, will be a subject complement. Like you can see, all these linking verbs appear, become, grow, remain, smell, stay. Be means all the forms of be, like is, are, was, were, has, have, had, feel, look, seen, sound, taste. These are all the linking verbs. They are all the stative verbs. They are not action verbs. So subject complements you are always going to find in the case of linking verbs, not the action verbs. Then we come to object complement. Why do we call it an object complement? Because it always describes an object in the sentence. Let's see how the object complements we are going to find in a sentence. In the first example, I found the guard sleeping. Fine. So sleeping is the object complement over here. Why? Because it is describing guard, which is acting as an object in a sentence. In the next example, we all consider her unworthy. So who is being considered unworthy? Her. And what is her over here? It is an object. So whenever a complement will be describing an object, it will be called an object complement, like you can see in the examples. Okay, students, now we have some just practice sentences over here. So in this way, your idea is going to be more clear regarding the subject complements and the object complements. Suppose the first sentence is here, this house is to let. If to let is underlined over here, so it will be a subject complement, because what is to let? This house. So it is describing the subject in the sentence, so it will be a subject complement. When I say she seems angry, who seems angry? She. Fine. So what is she over here? She is a subject, so angry will be subject complement. I found him guilty. Who was found guilty? Him. Him is acting as an object over here. It means that complement is describing an object over here. So guilty will be an object complement. She is sad today. Sad today is a complement over here. And what this complement is describing, it is describing subject, which is he over here. So it will be subject complement. She called him a rascal. Who was called rascal? Him. So him is an object over here. So this is a object complement. The sky grew dark. What grew dark? The sky. The sky is a subject. So dark will be subject complement. Sugar tastes sweet. What tastes sweet? Sugar. Sugar is a subject over here. So sweet will be subject complement. She made me crazy. Who was made crazy? Me. So me is acting as an object over here, and crazy is describing the object over here. So this kind of complement will be object complement. What made him sad? Who was made sad? Him. Him is an object over here. So sad will be acting as a object complement. So I hope that your idea of the subject and object complement would be quite much clear. Go through the whole of the idea 2-3 times and your idea will be more clear. In the next lecture, we will start with the tenses, and I hope that you must revise the whole of the just lecture as many times as possible. Okay, students, Allah Hafiz.